Welcome back to this special Indianomics where we are discussing one of the biggest events, possibly transformational events for the Indian economy, the launch of a digital currency. I've been speaking with bankers who are actually involved with the pilot project that the Reserve Bank started this week. I have with me SBI's Raghavendra Balakrishna, ICICI Bank's B. Prasanna, Amit Sureka of Yes Bank, and Venkat Chalasani, formerly of SBI and board member at CCIL. Gentlemen, thank you for your patience. Okay, now we know that the bond markets will perhaps trade more extensively with CBDC in the days to come. What about corporates? Let us stick with wholesale before I come to the individual. Mr. Raghavendra, if you can give some idea, do you think corporates will use this system in a very big way because they're already savvy?
Definitely. See, the here issue is that other person, unless I'm sure he will honor the settlement. Likewise, we have so many limits with corporates. For example, I'm heading corporate accounts group also right now. So any corporate, when we are dealing with, we allocate some limits. So as a certain process of assessment, we can give some limits to them. They can trade. And more good thing is, if it is somebody and if I want to do it, a cross-border also can be possible down the line, provided their rupee is funded here and it is T+0.
Do you expect that corporates will take to this like fish take to water?
Okay. So, Lata, I think your second question first. I think the motivation for CBDC world over has been broadly cost reductions and increasing efficiencies, shifting to a cashless economy, possibly easing cross-border flows, easier remittances, and an alternative to private cryptos or stable coins at the end of the day. I think this is RBI's answer to stable coins. Now, if you look at the discussion paper released by RBI, it is clear that CBDC will have sovereign backing, but banks will continue to do the servicing and distributors will be involved in the issuance and distribution of CBDC. And if you really see the entire system, you see banks are in the middle. With RBI on one side and customers on the other side. And the customers on the other side could be corporate customers or it could be retail customers. And for centuries, we have all been taught that a central bank is a banker to a banker and is a banker of the last resort. So according to me, this disintermediation that you seem to be alluding to is possibly not in the minds of Reserve Bank and let alone any central bank for that matter, because banks are the ones which are doing KYC, AML, etc. So the entire option of converting currency to digital CBDC is, according to me, only going to be given to retail individuals when actual physical issuance of cash is concerned, or it is going to be given to banks which are already having a current account with Reserve Bank of India. When it comes to corporates which are having a bank balance or which are having, I don't think this is going to be an option at all, because I think it's quite clear that the discussion paper also points out to the fact that they don't want to be disintermediating the banking system. And if you look at the narrative globally about how CBDC is developing, all the central banks have been saying that we don't really want to disrupt the banking system and we don't really want to go that route because the banking system is performing a role. And okay, you might argue that, okay, are they being paid enough or are they being paid too much for being that role? That's something only time will tell. And, but I don't think that role itself is up for grabs. That too, especially a central bank coming in and playing that role. I don't think that's going to, happen. Just quickly, Lata, on the issue of the CCIL and other point that you spoke about. I think as far as government bonds are concerned, I think the existing infrastructure on India's Home and the CCIL settlement guarantee and all is working beautifully. And I think, like I said, every person is possibly going to be given an option of whether he wants to do instantaneous settlement using CBDC or whether he wants to be a part of existing settlement guarantee. And I think there is advantages for both. In fact, I don't really see one at the expense of the other. The real issue is actually real advantage can be really in corporate bond settlement, because that is where there is no existing clearing as a settlement guarantee, which is happening today. And I think that is where if this instantaneous settlement were to happen, you don't really need somebody to come and guarantee corporate bond settlement. Okay. And actually, I can trade on that, the parallel screen of CBDC for corporate bonds, get settled immediately, and then I can go and actually sell it immediately. Okay. So I think that the big game changer can come in the corporate bond market. Maybe not in G6, and definitely I don't think on the entire customer balances that you're talking about.
Okay. All right. Got that. Yeah. I don't think the Reserve Bank also wants to open accounts for, 1.4 billion Indians. I don't think they are interested in getting into the retail or in any way disintermediating the banks. Amit, if we can let our imagination roll a little more, do you think the cross-border settlements will also happen? That is where everybody wants it to work.
Yeah, so Lata, as Prasanna mentioned, in terms of implementation or the use of CBDC wholesale in the G6 is limited, and I think that will only complement the existing system rather than replacing any of these.
Okay.
Yeah, the major benefit of this CBDC would be on the cross-border remittances side. India has around $87 billion of remittances coming coming every year. I mean, this is 2021 data from World Bank. Which says $87 billion remittances, 20% of it comes from USA, right? So once this CBDC is adopted globally, at least by the large central banks, and it is also tokenized, I believe there would be a huge use case for reduction of cost in terms of cross-border payments and remittances, and reduction of settlement risk as well, and removing the country risk as well. Right now, the risks are on the nostrils of individual countries. So there is a huge scope for CBDC usage in cross-border remittances space.
Okay. No, I'll tell you the other thing that the governor said in the speech. He said, depending on the learnings from CBDC, they are wanting to launch digitized KCC loans, Kisan Credit Card loans. So they are looking at some kind of a retail use for Kisan credit cards. I'm not able to figure it out. Venkat, anything you can add in terms of future use cases?
One of the things I would just want to bring some clarity basis the concept paper which has been put in by the RBI is that the issuance is going to be a hybrid model. It's going to be both direct and indirect. Direct in respect of the wholesale banking, wholesale digital rupee, which has already been introduced right now in respect of this G6, and indirect where the issuance will be done by the intermediaries, where the banks will still continue to be there. So that's going to, and there are going to be two models. One is the account model, and then the second is a token model. So in respect of retail, we're going to have the token models. So let us be very clear, Lata, that even in respect of 1.4 billion people, it can be, CBDC can be used in the form of tokens through intermediaries and by the RBI as the main issuer. So that's how it works. So it's not that CBDC will not be used by the retail customers. So going forward, that's how it's likely to be there. And the second point regarding the cross-border transactions, as Amit had rightly talked about the value of transactions that are happening today. But the pilot projects are happening in two places. It must be aware, one where China, Hong Kong, and even UAE and Thailand, together they're working on the cross-border transactions that's happening. Because one of the biggest challenges that's going to be there is interoperability of these systems and exchange, instant
exchange rate.
The exchange rate.
Correct.
So that is something that needs to be worked out.
Yeah, no, it has to be worked out. No, I agree with you, Venkat. I'm sorry, I've been my producer is prompting me to wind up. I agree with you that, even we are in discussion with MAS of Singapore and trying to make our UPI talk to their PayU. So maybe all these experiments, rupee trade, why only rupee ruble, is all being contemplated. Hopefully it will lead to something. Very quickly, Prasanna, do you think it will work at all for retail? The sheer extraordinary success of UPI should mean I don't need CBDC. No, I can pay you today. If you and I share a cab and I have to pay you, I can Google Pay it to you. Do you think the extraordinary success of UPI may make retail CBDC unnecessary, Prasanna?
So I think, Lata, it's too early to comment on what RBI is planning on the retail side. But what I'll just say is think about CBDC, like Mr. Venkat was mentioning, about something that is going to replace the cash in your wallet. If you are a person who are using cash and you are willing to look at it from a digital form, that's going to help you convert that hard currency cash that you are carrying in your pocket, and you will be possibly given CBDC through intermediary like your own banking app and things like that. So when it's like saying that when you draw cash from your banking account, your bank will be debited and you will get that hard cash in your hand. Similarly, when you do this transfer, your bank account will be debited and your CBDC account with with RBI will get credited. So it's only replacing the cash that you wanted to hold in the first place and does not look at replacing the deposits in any case. RBI has been very clear about it. So that's one thing that you need to keep in mind. And I think, yes, retail UPI has been a great game changer for retail. So the incremental advantage of CBDC at the retail place is going to be far lesser. I agree with you on that. But the advantage it will bring to the wholesale part and to the fact that blockchain as a technology is the underlying one which is actually facilitating this instantaneous settlement. Think about it this way. If you're able to get instantaneous settlement on G6, and if it's later on taken to the cross-border and you're able to get instantaneous settlement on currency conversions, then you don't need to go through SWIFT, hopefully at some point of time, and maybe all those things can become much easier.
Yeah.
So I think that's where we should leave it and look for further measures.
I know. If we start thinking too much about it, it'll become Alice in Wonderland. But for the moment, there has been a wonderful start. Let's see where we go from here. Thank you very much, Mr. Raghavendra, Prasanna, Venkat, and Amit, for giving us some idea of how things have fashioned on the CBDC front.